Welcome to our Emergency Medical Service for Children's Day. Today is a special day where in the healthcare field that we take the opportunity to recognize the children within our territory and within our community. One of the things I want you all to understand is when we talk about children, under our Emergency Medical Services for Children grant, a child is considered from birth to 21 years old. And so with us coming in compliance with those performance measures, what we got to do is make sure that we provide equipment to EMS, provide equipment to the hospital to make sure that they have the right equipment to treat the right patient. We also need to make sure that we can educate the providers to be able to do the skills, do the job. Because as being an educator for 40 years, I'll tell you, people don't do what you tell them to do. People do what they're trained to do. And so that's why it's so mandatory. And we decided, hey, let's bring out some of the pediatric equipment today. Let's take a look at them. Let's do a skill challenge. And that way we can refresh ourselves, be able to identify those specialty skills. Because what you don't use, you lose. And guess what? Where should the errors be? The errors should be right here in the classroom, not when we are out there taking care of children. When we take care of them, we don't want to react. We want to be able to respond and respond with confidence that we know what we're doing to saving these children in the Virgin Islands. So again, I want to say thank you to all the EMTs nationwide. It's 44 years of EMS here in the territory. And nobody really knows what those EMTs have to do out there on a daily basis. So from the State Office of EMS, we want to salute you for the job well done. I also want to take the opportunity to recognize here today with me Miss Faith Jane John Baptiste. I think I'm my HR lady. So it's the same name. So the thing is that we've been friends for more than 30 years, and she loves the pediatric patients. And so she'll tell you a little bit about herself and how she works with us with EMSC. So Ms. Jean Baptiste.
My name is Faye Jean Baptiste, and I'm a registered nurse. I've been a registered nurse for 32 years now. My specialty is, like Ms. Greenidge Payne said, my specialty is pediatrics, more so neonatology. Neonates, I've been doing neonates for 28 years now, peds for about 3 years. And it's a love. I say to Jackie all the time, you know, when you're in it, you realize more of the focus tends to be on adults in terms of training, resources. Children sometimes get left behind, and so this is really important. This is an exciting day where, you know, we can focus on the children. Children have a smaller reserve, and so because they have a smaller reserve, there's less room for mistakes because they can't bounce back as fast as an adult can. So this is where it's important. People who provide hands-on care, whether it's trauma in the field, whether it's inpatient in the hospital, training is very, very important. So I'm excited to be here today.
So today we're going to look at some of the skills. And one of the main skills that we want to focus on here is the patient's airway. Because without an airway, we don't have a patient. We're also going to work on some of our IV techniques. We're going to go over the Sega splint, the pediatric traction splint. We're going to also, besides just doing the IV, we're going to work on the IO, because sometimes in an emergency, and depending on the size of the baby or the child, it might be hard to be able to get a venipuncture. So we'll go ahead with the intraosseous, where we will drill the bone to be able to get the IV access. Another big skill that we're going to work on, because a lot of times the EMTs in the field, when they deliver the babies, sometimes they'll have a baby out there that's not breathing. And so we really want to hone in on their skills in terms of that pediatric resuscitation, and also keeping in mind now that it can be what? More than 2 patients, because I have delivered twins in the field. And so it all depends on what's out there. But we want to be ready. And so today is EMSC Day, and today is Pediatric Readiness Day. And every quarter, EMS does skill check. But we want to make sure that we work within the hospital throughout the territory. And Ms. Faith John Baptiste is going to also be working with me, because she's the one that assists me in terms of letting me know what equipment or supplies that we can give to the hospital to make sure that we have the right equipment for them. Late last year, we were able to give them LMAs, and LMAs is a form of a tube that is easy. It's a blind insertion to intubating the babies from every size kilo or weight. We've done that. We've presented Braslo tape to the hospital. We've presented Braslo crash cart. Okay, so when you come up with what size the patient is, everything is in the bag that you need to take care of them, along with providing the TNCC, PALS, ACLS, or anything in terms of training. So we do have a pediatric emergency care coordinator down in the emergency room. She's not here today, but her name is Shaniqua Dor. And Ms. Jean Baptiste is also going to be our pediatric emergency care coordinator on the NICU side. Okay, so for those of you who don't understand what's NICU, that's the newborn patients that is critical and is in the ICU for critical treatment until whether they meet the weight or their lungs developing or whatever the situation might be, for them to be discharged to back home with their family members. I want to introduce my Central High School students, and I want to big them up because all of y'all graduated, right? So congratulations. And so in May, it was April 25th, right? A Saturday? April 1st. Oh, it was April Fool's Day? Oh my God. So on April 1st, we did CPR, first aid, AED, and went over opiate overdose with them. So they're here today, and they're going to show us a little bit about what they remembered. And so we're going to put them on spot. And I also have Miss Maylard over here looking so quiet, and she's one of my Racketeer students. And she also learned CPR, and we're going to make sure that you all show the community that we don't need to be an adult to do this. Today's EMS for Children Day. So you all are going to show the community what you all remembered and what you're going to do. Y'all think that we can do that in 5 minutes? All right. Okay. So put your gloves on. Basically, what it is, they're in the cafeteria over at Central High School, and one of their classmates collapsed in the cafeteria. And so they are trained in CPR, and they're going to be responding to see what's up with their classmate. Man down in the cafeteria at Central High School.
Man down, help. Checking for breathing.
Okay. Okay. She's counting how long she's checking. How long you checking for? How many?
Seconds.
Very good. And so you don't get a response.
No response.
Uh-huh.
Starting CPR.
All right. So do you think help coming?
Help. Somebody get the CPR and the AED.
All right, let's go. Straight up and down. Mm-hmm. Very good.
Starting breaths now. How many breaths? Two breaths.
Okay, 2 breaths. Very good. Did you see the chest rise? Very good. Yes. And the chest must rise because that's the indicator to telling us that they got oxygen into the lungs. Okay? So today is a skill check day, right? So because it's a skill check day, let's pause, overlock, and heel up. There we go. Now you could give your 2 breaths. And so that's what today is all about, fine-tuning the skills as you do it, that we make sure that you can build that psychomotor memory and the skills. Can anybody tell me how fast the rate of compression should be? Anybody?
100 to 120.
Very good. 100 to 120 beats per minute. How many cycles are we going to do?
5.
Very good. Nice. What number cycle is that?
4.
Okay.
Jackie, she's compressing the chest.
Mm-hmm. And so what she's doing is compressing the chest. So when her partner blows in the oxygen and she compresses the chest, that oxygen goes in the bloodstream. And so by compressing the chest, it creates a wave-like motion so that the oxygen goes throughout the body, which is called perfusion. Just a constant supply of oxygen to the body, making sure that the brain is oxygenated and every other part of the body is oxygenated. All right, so you complete what? Your what?
5 cycles.
Okay, and what are you looking to see? What do you have?
A response.
Okay, okay, so you don't see any response, but then you're going to look to see if he's what? Very good, and so you see chest rise and fall and he's breathing. So if he's breathing, tells you he has a what? Very good. So, let's see team number 2. Put that back in there, Mikey. Team number 2. What, salutatorian? We have the Central High School salutatorian class of 2023. We're proud of you, Miss Cornelius. All right. So, here it is. You all out on the basketball court. And they're having, somebody came and brought some gummy bears and some brownies, and everybody's having a good time. And all of a sudden, he collapsed.
Man down. Help. Somebody call 911 and bring the AED.
All right.
I have on my PPE.
Very good.
Checking for breathing. I have the AED.
All right. She has her PPE on. Okay. And so we noticed that he's breathing, but he's breathing very shallow.
The AED has arrived.
Okay, AED has arrived. He's breathing very shallow. Okay, and also in your AED bag, there is a Narcan pouch. And so he's breathing very shallow and he has a pulse. What are you going to do for him? Okay, take it out of the plastic bag. All right, so you see what they're going to do? They're getting ready to take the Narcan out of the Narcan kit, put it up in his nose, and there goes Miss Cornelius, and she sprays the Narcan. It increased his breathing just a little bit, but he's still what? Unresponsive. unresponsive. So you want to make sure that who's coming? Okay, 911 is coming. So 911 tells you, okay, we're really busy today and you don't have any more Narcan, and on your assessment, the patient is now unresponsive with no pulse. What are you going to do? Excellent. All right, let's go. See what I tell you? These children will pick up this thing like they're sponge.
So they're now doing pressure.
All right, so the Narcan spray wasn't enough for whatever overdosed the patient. So even though it brought the respiratory rate up, eventually it went right back down and the patient went unresponsive and into cardiac arrest. Go ahead, finish your compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
connector
Put them on
next
really.
to flashing light.
So now they're gonna apply
They're now applying the AED.
Apply pads. Plug-in connector.
So,
Apply pads.
Jackie,
Plug-in
do you
connector.
necessarily need child-size pads?
No, you don't necessarily need a child-size pad because if you have
Heart rhythm.
a adult pad and you have a child, you can put one directly in the front and one directly in the back. Shock advised, charging.
Stay clear of patient. Deliver shock now.
You all need to
the
say,
orange button
I clear,
now.
you clear, everybody clear, and press.
Shock delivered.
So now you go back to doing what? All right.
Begin CPR.
Okay, let's go. And so the thing about the AED is known as an automatic external defibrillator. And the purpose of the AED is just like your car battery. You come out in the morning, the light doesn't come on, the battery don't want to swing over, and you take your car down to H&H and they test the battery. If the cells in the battery is good, what they're going to do? They're going to tell you, come back in an hour, we're going to what? Charge the battery. Just like the AED. If the AED sense that there is electrical activity in the heart, it's going to charge it and then it's going to what? Shock it. Actually, when it shocks the heart, what it does is it stops all electrical activity so that they can regroup and follow that electrical pathway in the way it's supposed to. So it's like putting a positive and a positive. That's why it senses if there's electrical activity. So then it neutralizes it and then it will regroup. And I'm here to tell you, CPR saves lives. How many cycles you got, ladies? 4? All right. And how many cycles we working towards? 5 cycles. Very good. And so this is your last cycle. And I'm telling you out there, guys, if these teenagers and preschoolers from elementary school can do this stuff, you can do this stuff. Time is critical. A brain without oxygen, 4 to 6 minutes, you're clinically dead. All right, so you finish your 5 cycles, you got a pulse back, and the ambulance is on its way. Thank you, young ladies. So a brain without oxygen, 4 to 6 minutes, you're clinically dead. And so that's why it's so important for us to understand how to do CPR. Many of your jobs may mandate it, but guys, when you have the opportunity to learn it, please take that opportunity, because most of the time, 99% of the time, the skills that you're going to learn is going to help you in your everyday family lives at home. And so that is so important.
CPR used to save a football, something like that.
So we did have the football player who was playing football, and again, he got hit right in his chest and he collapsed. And so when he collapsed, he went into cardiac arrest. And so that's why you got to be careful how you're playing too, because if the heart get hit at a certain speed and at a certain time in the electrical impulses in the heart, then they can go into cardiac arrest. And so the folks that were there and the trainers that were there were trained in CPR, and they were able to quickly start that CPR and save his life. So this is what he did. He joined with American Heart Association and have a campaign that's going nationwide for us to take CPR into the communities and to save lives, because he witnessed that CPR saved his life. But for us here in the Virgin Islands,
Can I add to that?
yes, come on down. So I want to introduce to you Mr. Jason Henry, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself. But what is so important about Jason Henry today, he's also an EMT. And don't mind he's in his lovely suit. He's here today to take his skill, pediatric readiness. Jason, tell him a little bit about you and help me out here today.
Hi, good day, good day. So I'm Jason Henry, and I'm EMT, proud EMT of the Virgin Islands. I actually did my certification with Miss Jacqueline Greenidge, Payne. And it's over 10 years now. I remember doing it, more than 10 years. Wow, time goes by so fast. With then former Commissioner of Health. And it's been great. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy providing service and giving back to the community. And this is a great day. And actually congratulate Miss Jackie Greenidge Payne, actually as the first director for this newly formed state office of the Department of Health, because that's actually great for us to have a regulatory office in the Virgin Islands where we actually now regulate and manage the process and certification of the EMS system. And why is that so important is that the story that she was just giving about the football player is that many individuals do not take the EMS system seriously until there's time for help. And whenever we see this all the time, where there are people who having events and it's like, okay, well, you don't need that much EMTs or you don't need that much police officers, and then when it happens, like, well, listen, you can't have an event with 2,000 people with only 2 medics, because if something major happened, you need us. We saw the effects of 9/11. We tapped out our resources. And so the EMS system says it's great to see these young ladies and young men actually hopefully future first responders, be it nurses, medics, doctors, whatever the case may be. We definitely applaud you for actually embracing the health field. You know, I've actually had conversations about this, and many people say, you know what, the lowest paid people, one of the lowest paid people in that ground saved one of the highest paid person life, right? And it's the skill, and it's because we don't do it for the money. It's because of the passion that we have for it. So, you know, so just great and happy to be here today. So thank you.
Thank you, Jason. And so today, tell us what you do at the hospital.
My name is Versely Keynes. I am a certified medical assistant, and I work in the emergency room.
And so today, she's here to put her skills on the line, to learn some new skills. And so everybody's going to have an opportunity to go around and just qualify again over on their skills. And so that's what we're going to be doing in the next hour. But we want to thank you all for coming out, participating, getting ready to put your skills on the line, and to, again, recognize our responders and to thank them for what they do. I believe that healthcare should not be forced care, and we must maintain the care in healthcare, because it's all about saving each individual, one person at a time in our community. Thank you.